This is very significant information. The magma plume discovered under Yellowstone Supervolcano, also located under the Ridgecrest, Coso Valley volcanic field, and the Long Valley Caldera supervolcano. Now we know why the Ridgecrest earthquake 20 years ago of 7.1 magnitude, as we can see here, look at this line. This is the exact line of the magma plume running from South California, right, US-Mexico border to Yellowstone. It runs right through the area of Ridgecrest, and it goes all the way, depending on how deep you are, to the Long Valley Caldera, as we'll see later. Now, this is an article that was written in March of last year. It in no way had anything to do with the recent Ridgecrest earthquakes. So now we know that they are connected. When the geologists say that Ridgecrest is not connected to Yellowstone, that is just not a truth. The magma plume runs all the way from Mexico under Yellowstone Supervolcano. The underwater fountain, quote unquote, of magma found beneath Yellowstone Supervolcano, heightening the fears that a major eruption could be on its way. Researchers found a column of hot volcanic ash, this is known as the magma plume, beneath this volcano, the supervolcano, and they believe it stretches all the way there from Mexico. Experts suggest that this plume could be the source of the heat that drives much of the volcano's surface activity. For example, its world-famous geysers and bubbling springs. The news comes after a spate of mini tremors in the area last spring that raised fears of Yellowstone's supervolcano that is about to blow. Now, we all know what happened last March. What happened last March is that the Norris Geyser Basin was deforming and uplifting, and the Steamboat Geyser started erupting just about every week after that. It had about 32 eruptions last year, and up to now, we've already surpassed that amount. We've surpassed that record as of 2 days ago. Steamboat Geyser, the biggest geyser in the world, is all of a sudden active since last March. Now, the magma plume, the unusual geologic feature lying at the boundary between the Earth's core and the mantle, rises through the mantle into the Earth's crust. It's still just a theory, but this abnormality would exist as a vertical stream of magma. Now, whether or not a mantle plume might lie beneath Yellowstone National Park has been hotly debated for decades. Using new imaging techniques, two researchers from the University of Texas suggest they have finally found the proof of this elusive column, this magma plume. They analyzed seismic activity around Yellowstone. They used data obtained from the U.S. Array Network, which has listening stations which are positioned across North America. Listening stations, acoustic. Based on these readings, the team discovered a 45 by 35 mile channel where seismic waves are slower. They found a magma plume beneath Yellowstone Park, and they believe it stretches all the way from Mexico. And it was found by tracing volcanic activity through the Earth's mantle at various seismic stations, and the plume may be triggering heightened volcanic activity at Yellowstone National Park. Now, they suggest this long, thin, sloping zone, the magma plume, is filled with unusually warm material, and that it forms parts of a magma plume that stretches all the way from Mexico. The researchers calculated that the mantle is hotter than any of its surroundings, and it reaches temperatures of around 800 degrees Celsius. That's 1,100 to 1,450 degrees Fahrenheit. And this column, the hot column, may be enough to drive surface activity at the park, according to what scientists believe, and it may explain a recent increase in volcanic activity in the area. Previous studies were unable to identify if a magma plume runs under the park because imaging techniques available to scientists were not accurate enough. But if you look at these tremendous images, for example, the column on the left-hand side and the right-hand side showing, for example, the red shaded area at 2,300 kilometers depth. You could see it's right exactly where the black circle is located. And you see right here that it's right at Ridgecrest. Again, this is an article from last March 2018. It's Ridgecrest, it's Southern California. And the volcanic fields all along there, all the way up to Long Valley Caldera. And it stretches diagonally northeast right into the Yellowstone Supervolcano area. So it is definitely the same plume. It's the same plume. And as you go deeper down, you see it's basically Ridgecrest, Los Angeles, all the way to the northern boundary of California, all the way through, of course, Long Valley Caldera and Lassen Peak and all these high threat volcanoes of California. And you even have some, as you come more shallow, you even have some meandering towards the, you see some red shaded areas meandering towards the New Madrid seismic zone. But we don't know if that's the same plume or not. I have no idea. For the time being, let's just concentrate on what's happening in Yellowstone, and that this thing coming in from Mexico is also affecting Southern California, Ridgecrest, Long Valley Supervolcano. So now we have the proof here that the Long Valley Caldera Supervolcano and Yellowstone are connected with the same magma plume. This is astonishing information. So now we have that down pat under our belt, that two supervolcanoes are connected. And it's logical, they're in the same area. It's a subduction zone, it's on the Ring of Fire. Now the researchers led by University of Texas geologist Dr. Peter Nelson wrote the paper saying, our results strongly support a deep origin for the Yellowstone hotspot, and also provide evidence for the existence of a thin thermal mantle plumes, plural, that are currently beyond the resolution of global tomography models. Some are worried that recent heightened volcanic activity at Yellowstone may indicate the park's subsurface supervolcano may be about to erupt. Now look, you know, a lot of people say, you know, you're a fearmonger, you don't know what you're saying, you're not a geologist. But look, we're just reporting what geologists here are saying. We're reporting what the geologists are saying as evidence. This is not coming out of our fantasy, our imagination. We have a tremendous amount of activity in Southern California, a tremendous amount in a volcanic field. It's meandering all the way up to the Long Valley. It's meandering all the way down to Salton Buttes. It's also affected the Southern California, San Andreas area, as we saw in the previous videos, around Los Angeles. And we just had a 5 magnitude earthquake, again, with aftershocks of 3.4, 3.5, 3.6. And over 1,000 people reported they felt it. So if over 1,000 reported they felt it, it means like another 5,000 or 6,000 felt it that didn't report it, okay? Depending on how quiet you were and where you were sitting and how you felt it. So the activity going on there involves the same magma plume that is under Yellowstone. That's why when we had the 7.1 magnitude quake in Ridgecrest 20 years ago, a couple of weeks later, we had an earthquake swarm in Yellowstone. I've said this quite a few times in the past videos because I thought it was very significant. So, it's connected. It's connected. We know Ridgecrest is connected to Yellowstone. Ridgecrest is connected to Long Valley Caldera. Long Valley Caldera is connected to Yellowstone because they have the same magma plume coming to them from the US-Mexican border. Now, below the surface of Yellowstone, which lays across parts of Wyoming and into Montana and Idaho, and we've had a tremendous amount of Montana earthquakes lately, and they were not small. One recent one was about 4.5 magnitude. So, that area there lies, that's where the caldera of the supervolcano lies, into that area, stretching in there, which last erupted, the last super eruption was 630,000 years ago, which was in fact a double eruption that was about 130 years apart. And Yellowstone is home of several faults, as we know, a tremendous amount over the caldera, and has a long history of seismic activity. As natural processes occur under the surface of this supervolcano, and the stress effects from the past earthquakes continue to maintain their hold, the areas remains a hotbed for seismic and swarm activity, according to the USGS. Now, the USGS recently has come out explaining that not to worry, everything is normal in Yellowstone, and that the recent earthquake swarms are in fact very delayed aftershocks of the 1959 Hebgen Lake earthquake of 7.3 magnitude. Others say it was 7.3, others say it was 7.5. Anyway, it was a very strong earthquake, and it even created a separate lake called Quake Lake, and a lot of landslides and a lot of earth changes. So, they say that the recent quake swarms in Yellowstone have to do with that earthquake of 1959, and that they're very delayed aftershocks. But we do have also rising deformation in Yellowstone. The Norris Geyser Basin is deforming and rising. We also have treacle areas. We also have new areas of geothermal activity. There's over 10,000 geothermal areas in Yellowstone. Yellowstone Volcano Observatory was only just recently established, in fact, in 2001. So it's about 19 years old. And they have over 60% of the world's geysers and over 10,000 geothermal areas. They haven't, of course, mapped everything of this. And the new activities of earthquake swarms, especially in the newly formed geothermal area of the Northwest. Northwest is basically where we have a lot of activity going on concerning Yellowstone Supervolcano. Now, a series of mini tremors, mini earthquakes raise fears that Yellowstone Supervolcano is about to blow again. But the experts say it's a relatively quiet period for tremors in the area. Normally there are about 50 minor earthquakes around the volcano every week. And there are those that say that minor earthquakes occur in the Yellowstone area 50 or more a week, but a major eruption is not expected in the foreseeable future. Of course, we're talking about a supervolcano, and the geologists of USGS did tell us that anything happening around Yellowstone, like a major earthquake, which we just had in Ridgecrest, of course, is not good for Yellowstone, because if you have something major going on in the vicinity, it means that Yellowstone will be affected. Yellowstone has a lake on top of the caldera, on the southeastern part of the caldera. It has Yellowstone Lake, and they say that even the breeze or the strong wind creating waves on that lake can trigger an earthquake over the magma chamber's roof. It's such a huge magma chamber, has a very huge roof. And even the quakes from the breeze, a stiff breeze on the water there, can create an earthquake. Now, I'll make another video concerning someone that gave me a very heads-up comment, and I thank her for that, having to do with the today's Yellowstone earthquakes. We're talking about their seismograms, and I'm going to make a video showing all the seismograms, especially towards the northeast, because let's have them up there, because she says take them, photocopy them, copy them, record them, because they may be changed, because there's tremendous amount of earthquakes everywhere around there, and we don't know if they're all being reported. Maybe they're not, maybe they are, maybe there's just too many to be reported. I don't know, I'm not a geologist, but that's USGS, and I'll make another video showing that as well. Now, I did try to make a video showing the Old Faithful geyser, the live webcam, but it has a tremendous amount of problems. I don't know why. It may work for like 2 seconds, and then it's off for like 5 minutes, and then it's on again for like 5 seconds, off again for like 2 minutes, something like that going on. Some very strange going on with the Old Faithful camera. We did notice that it had a profuse amount of steam coming out from the nearby geysers that are surrounding Old Faithful. A profuse amount, continually, and I should say. And when that was going on, we noticed that the camera was being turned off from them, and onto Old Faithful, which was not erupting, so that we were not able to see what was going on. Even though in one of my last videos I did capture, and one of them even had some dark, turbid steam coming out. It wasn't clear white steam, it was dirty steam, suggesting that there was something that perhaps could have sloughed off into the water chamber of the steam that would be exploding out, erupting out, causing some kind of a little landslide or something from, I don't know, from earthquakes, something that could have perhaps caused the water to come out turbid and soily and muddy. So we don't know what's going there, but I try to put up a video and I can't, because it's just not possible. I'll try and do it later on if it gets up to working properly again. So the next video after this will be with the seismograms around the Yellowstone Lake, around the Caldera, so that we have a record of them as well. I'll leave links below for you for this. Okay, the conclusion here, the takeaway is that Ridgecrest, Yellowstone, Long Valley Supervolcano, Yellowstone Supervolcano, all these volcanic fields south of the California border are all connected with the same magma plume with Yellowstone. That's why we have historical recorded earthquake swarms in Yellowstone after major quakes in Ridgecrest, for example. I'll leave links below for you for this. This is by Harry Petit, Daily Mail on Bended Reality. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.